Okay, let's start here with the lazy stitch. I don't know how it got the word lazy because it's not for lazy people, I'll tell you. Now, lean or lazy stitches are, here's a bag that's just totally made up of lanes of lazy stitch, little rows that make the lanes. See, these beads are bigger, these are smaller. I didn't, because they aren't, the color isn't changing within the row. It's just lane, they're butted, rows butted up to each other, so the size doesn't matter as much. These are all older Italian beads, I believe, except for that. These are all, and I think that's a newer bead right there too. But most of these are newer, or older beads. And they just have a kind of a soft, rich quality to them. If you're going to, you can graph out this design if you'd like. Or if your design is really complicated, like it is on a lot of older Lakota pieces, that if it's going to fork and go out and keep on forking, start in the middle and work one way, and then from the middle, again, start from the middle and work the other way. And that's how you get those really complicated designs. That's the way to do it. Start from the middle and each middle and work out each way. But now, we'll go to the, I'm going to scooping some beads on, and these are these little older beads. It looks like I'm going to need about 3, 6, maybe 8. I think about 8 of these beads is going to make a good row. Now I'm using my thumb to wedge that together, wedge it in place, and then I'm going to go down in right there, right under that thread, and I'm just nicking the leather. I'm not going all the way through. There's the knot from the original pulling through of the but I'm not any of this sewing. It's just nicking the side of it here, okay? And it's just a bead's width, a stitch is a bead's width away, and you just make sure that that's gonna work. This stitch away from myself. Some people like to do it to the side. And if you're doing it to the side, you do it from the right to the left. I like to do it away from myself. It just works easier, better for me. That way is more comfortable. So that's how I show people, but I always tell them to try the other way. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now we're going to lay this in. See, if you just count, kind of cull your beads and make sure that your stitches are even, you really don't have to draw lines. It'll just kind of happen on its own, really. And wherever you point your needle, whichever way you point it, that's the way the stitch is going to go. So that's pretty basic too. So there's 4 and there's 4. Scooping those beads on. So there we go. That's a little short, but I think we can live with it. Go in right there, come out right there. A little bit more. And don't, just rely on your stitch length. Don't keep counting and measuring. You do have to cull your beads and count your beads on. I think lazy stitch is a little cumbersome just because you have to do all that fussing with counting the beads if you want it to look right. But I like to use it for borders and some smaller things. It's a good fill-in stitch. Certainly traditional for Lakota people, Cheyenne people, Arapaho people. Oh, a lot of people used it. Actually, people used either this or the overlay stitch or applique. That's how it pretty much breaks down if tribes go with stylistic differences in their respective arts. But you see, I'm just getting a nice little row going in there, nicking the hide, not going through. There you go. And there you have it. It just kind of keeps on going. Pretty easy.
Can you show us?
There's nothing on the back except that one knot. There's no stitching. It's just nicked. The nicking is just nicked. Just under the surface. Enough so that it's not going to tear out, certainly. But that's how you do it. Commercial leather, sadly, is not going to cooperate with you as well in that way. With the lazy stitch too, a lot of times I drape it over my finger like this if I want. I'll show you. If I'm gonna working up speed here. Oh, those are kind of small. Let's get some better ones here. Okay, now I'm kind of holding it like this, and if I want, those are too fat. I need to get 2 skinnier beads. There we go. That's going to be better. You got to keep calling it just to make it look good, or it's going to look uneven. Okay, here you go. You're going like so, and then you can kind of almost fold the material back. Do you see me? I'm kind of pushing it back, and that helps me make that stitch and helps everything kind of nest together. Okay? It's pretty basic. It's really relaxing, except for all that counting. And there we go. Hoping this is clear. We're kind of hitting this again and with different angles so people can kind of see just how you do. I'm kind of folding it back a little. See, I'm kind of folding it. I'm just relying on my stitch length. It's all a visual thing. Okay? So there you have it. You're on your way. You just serially repeat that a few thousand times, and by gosh, you'll have something. Now I'm going to go and I'll show you what I do to tie off. I'm going to go, here we are, kind of using my thumbnails to kind of getting it steady on the, now this I'm going to go through to the back. There's a few schools of thought on this to tie it off and finish it. Some people like to just make a little series of back stitches like so. Just 3 or 4 little back stitches and then snip that. I'm not one of those people. I like to take a back stitch by nicking, not going all the way through, and actually tying a little knot. That's what I like to do. Just one little knot, that's all it takes. And then snip it off. And there you have the start of your row. I use it for borders. There's a lazy stitch border here on this pouch, which isn't fringed yet. And there it goes all the way around. The edges of this pouch, this was 2 pieces of leather. The edges then, when I whip stitched the edges up to there, I just put beads on the whip stitch, and that's how I finished the edge. This is also made up of rows, lazy stitch rows, and you can see they have kind of a cushy kind of feel and look to them. It's pretty, it's a nice stitch, but you can see the rows, the parallel rows. and then the designs that you make up within the parallel lanes and the designs made up within the rows.